start the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. All content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
Best of times, it was the most expensive of times. Yep, Nintendo did what we don't want, which is raise the price of their Switch systems. That just happened, effective today, but the real worry...
Which is insane. He didn't sit here and say it yet, but it was the Switch one that went up in price. How does an 8-year-old system literally go up in price? Usually, when a system gets older into its lifespan, they literally go down in price. I remember when the PS2 was under $100, for crying out loud. Well, let's get into this reaction.
Is that Nintendo says it may not stop there. Yep, the Switch 1 is more expensive now, but they say the Switch 2 consoles, the Switch 2 games, and the Nintendo Switch Online memberships could be price hiking in the near future, and that is something to worry about. So what's going on, everybody?
See, this is where I find it extremely ridiculous when they keep saying, oh, for market conditions. How are the games going up in price, especially the digital versions of all of them? There's literally no market condition that can cause those digital games to go up in price.
Many analysts have already reviewed this situation, and they're saying this is not Nintendo being greedy. This is not Nintendo wanting to just steal more money for you. This is our current administration in the US.
Oh, of course, just blame the current administration. Usually I don't get into this whole political stuff, but the tariffs do have something to do with it. Now, just like I said, with the rising costs and prices, yes, the tariffs do have something to do with, but with them jacking up the NSO, tariffs have no control over the NSO. With them raising prices on the games, like for instance, if they jack up the digital versions of those games, those tariffs literally have nothing to do with. So yes, there is a part of it that is to blame on the tariffs, but you want to know who also is to blame? The consumer, because they voted with their wallet for this to happen. When you buy and consume Nintendo's products left and right, do it unchecked, Nintendo gets greedy. So Switchforce can go on about it all he wants to, but if they raise the price of the NSO and if they raise the price of the games, then guess what? That is nothing but greed, pure corporate greed.
Implementing tariffs, and there are reverberations and consequences to that. Most economists agreed that if tariffs, then higher prices for customers. The consumers are the ones that...
Okay, if you say it's the leading analyst, why aren't you using reports from them? Why are you going on Twitter and taking comments off of Twitter and posting that as proof? This is how I know you're full of shit.
Get this cost passed on to them, and that's being proven today as Nintendo has raised the price of the Switch 1, the OLED, the Lite, and some accessories. All right, so the Switch 1 is going up to $340 from $300.
Which is ridiculous. That Switch OLED should be down to $200, and the base Switch should be down to $150 by now. This is ridiculous.
The Switch OLED is going all the way up to $400 from $350, which is crazy to me. $400 for the OLED is huge. The Switch Lite is $230, up from $200. The Nintendo alarm clock, Alarmo.
I cannot believe it. $400 for the Switch OLED. Yes, the tariffs will play a little bit in price, but you got to understand, in 8 years they have not lowered the price of any of those products. I know some of them haven't been out for that long, but just go with me. Literally, the base Switch has been out for 8 years, hasn't gotten a price drop one damn time, and you're telling me in those 8 years it did not get cheaper to make that console? And all those consoles that they jacked up in price, that wasn't because of the tariffs. Actually, they were already in the countries here that were sitting in the warehouse, so tariffs had no effect over that whatsoever. It's not like that they're adding these prices to every new one's coming in. No, they're adding them to every single one that's already existing.
Nobody probably cares, is going up $10 to $110. And the Joy-Con 2, the Switch 2 extra Joy-Con, are going up $5 from $95 to $100, a full Benjamin. Now,
$100 for those piece of shit Joy-Cons, that's highway robbery.
The big one here is the Switch OLED. $400 for that is crazy. And look, I know Nintendo didn't want to do this, but I'm glad that they're going with the Switch 1 line first.
Yeah, I do not believe for a second that Nintendo did not want to raise those prices. Because if they didn't want to, they didn't have to. They could have eaten the cost, literally. So what? They're going to go from making record profits just to regular profits if they sit here to eat the cost?
To try to make up some money there, as opposed to targeting the new system, the top seller, the Switch 2. This is not what Nintendo wants to do, but let's not pretend that they're dummies about it, right? They have a strategy here, and I believe the strategy is to incentivize the heck out of you to get their new console.
Hey, that's a shocker. One of you guys are willing to say it. I honestly do think that they're taking advantage of the situation to push people onto their Switch 2. Because every game they keep pumping out, it looks like it could have been played on the Switch 1. May not look as good, but I still think Mario Kart World and DK Bonanza could have played on the Switch 1.
Look, you can get a Switch OLED for $400, or you can get a Switch 2 for $450. New buyer, new Nintendo fan, mom and pop, what are you doing? You're buying the Switch 2. It's $50 more, and it's the brand new console, 8 years new.
Just remember, everybody, you have to pay $450 for your Switch 2. And guess what the Japanese get in Japan? They get one that is region locked to only Japanese, but they get one for $330. Just let that sink in.
Like, come on, this is an easy choice to completely turn people away from the Switch 1 and move them to Switch 2, which benefits Nintendo because the Switch 2 is more expensive. The Switch 2 is their new ecosystem, and it gets a bigger pool of potential game buyers for what Nintendo is focusing on, which is the future.
Yeah, the future to rip you off. You do realize there's a simple solution to get these prices to drop, don't you, Switch Force? Why don't you vote for your wallet for once instead of voting against everybody to have to pay more for the cost of games? You could vote for your wallet and they'll get lower. You do understand that, right?
And Switch 2 games. And look, if we actually really take a peek at the bundle and you subtract out Mario Kart's price from the $500 Switch 2 bundle, say it's $80, that means that the Switch 2 is $420 and the Switch OLED is $400. So what are we doing here?
No. Don't you dare try to sit here and do that. That Switch is $450 and the true value of Mario Kart World is only $50. I honestly believe that Nintendo knows that game is only worth $50. They put the physical at $80 because they knew people would run out and pay $50 over the $80. I still stand by that. I do not think the average person would have paid $80 for Mario Kart World. I could be wrong, but I am hoping that even Nintendo fans themselves have some sense to them.
Nobody should be buying a Switch OLED. Nobody. Get the Switch 2 bundle. It's a much better value, and the Switch 1 sales are going to taper off more than they have before. It's going to move people that may...
I swear, man, you're trying to take over Wood's position, aren't you? Do you want to become the next poster boy for Nintendo or something?
They have considered a Switch 1 just to get their kiddo Mario Kart and Animal Crossing and Smash Bros. To just say, you know what, I'm going to pony up a little bit more for the Switch 2. This is way better value.
At $500 for including Mario Kart World, that's still debatable.
But it's not going to stop there necessarily because Nintendo, they're telling us that they might have to raise the price of the current system. And good on Nintendo for starting at this end, right?
No, not good on Nintendo. They've been making record profits. Are you kidding me? It's not like Nintendo's about to go bankrupt. They can eat the tariffs a little bit. They can swallow the cost for a short period of time until everything gets figured out. Zach, stop trying, or Switchforce, stop trying to sit here and justify this BS crap.
It seems like they're trying to exhaust all the options they have before they target the newfangled Switch 2. So they raised the price of Switch 1 in Canada. Now they're raising the price of Switch 1 and some accessories in North America. They're going to do Switch 2 next if they need to.
And you better bet that they're going to. Does anybody believe that they're not going to raise the price of the games? That they're not going to raise the price of the NSO? That they're not going to raise the price of the console? Come on, we all know that Nintendo is itching to do it.
And popular analyst Daniel Ahmad said he could definitely see Nintendo needing to do that. And Nintendo themselves has said this, which should have you a bit worried. Pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2 system, physical and digital Nintendo Switch 1 and Switch 2 games, as well as Nintendo Switch Online memberships will remain unchanged at this time.
Yeah, at this time. This is how you know that they're full of shit. If those tariffs really were that big of a deal like they're claiming, then they would be forced to put it on all of it. But they're putting it on the older stuff. Are you kidding me? Why can you not see through this, Switch Force?
However, please note that price adjustments may be necessary in the future, and that is their free pass to eventually pass the price increase onto the current gen. But
this is not a free pass. Stop giving Nintendo this much grace, Switchforce. You are the same person that literally criticized Gearbox for maybe releasing Borderlands 3 at $80 because you believe that the rumor was that they sat here and were doing it because they can get away with it, which you were not okay with, and you actually believe that. You did a whole video going on a rant, and in the same damn video, you sat there and said when it comes to Nintendo and Mario Kart World that they didn't sit here, that you didn't believe that they put that price at $80 because they could get away with it. You said it was because they had to, which we both know you're full of shit.
I think there's actually a silver lining here, something quite nice for you and I think I know what they're going to target first, and I think it's going to not be as bad as maybe you're panicking about right now. Like, nobody wants a price increase on anything, but
oh, I would love to hear your silver lining. You literally tried to suggest when it came to the game key cards was the solution over them was just to change the name and not say it was a physical copy. Like, you actually acted like that was going to make a difference. But let's hear the so-called silver lining.
Like I told you back before the Switch 2 launched, buying a Switch 2 at launch was the best decision you could make. Look, this system is not getting any cheaper anytime soon. The freaking Switch 1 is more expensive now 8 years after it launched. The Switch 2 will not be getting a price decrease.
Not here in America, but how much do you want to bet sweet Japan may get one in the near future? It would not surprise me. I wonder, how much is a Switch 1 in Japan? Let's find out. Okay, so it's roughly with tax $260. That is less than $300. So they got theirs even less than what we had to pay ours before the price increase. And now they're extremely paying less.
A price cut, a sale, I'd say within the next 5 years. If anything, that console is going to go up. It'll be the console that they target first, in my opinion. So that means if you already got a Switch 2,
are you kidding me? That's literally your silver lining. Oh, if you already got one, then you should be good. You saved yourself. You are a freaking idiot. You are such a damn simpleton. Fuck you.
you're in a pretty good spot. That was, hey, your like early adopter prize was you get the Switch 2 at quite possibly the lowest price it'll be, maybe during its entire life cycle. Now that sucks for new buyers, but if you're thinking about it,
it would not surprise me after they jack up the price of the Switch 2, all those people that we believe that were scalping the Switch 2 at launch, oh, they probably been sitting on them and waiting just to see if those tariffs go up. Just you wait. You know what, Switch Force? I hope yours breaks and you have to go buy one from a scalper. I really do.
it's easier for a new buyer to say, oh, $450 for the Switch 2 or an extra $20. Like, I really want this new system. I'm going to grab it. And that would be opposed to them raising the price of the games, which is where they've seen the biggest pushback.
Yes, of course. So should they. $80 games is ridiculous. And even with DK Bonanza, even though it came out at $70, I still don't think that it was worth $70. I think it's worth $60. That's what price the game should have come at. The game alone does not have enough quality content to justify $70.
If you think back to what caused the most problems at the Switch 2 launch, it was the $80 price point of Mario Kart World, which, like, okay, they felt they could charge that. Still not really sure why they picked that.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe literally sold, 70 million copies if I remember correctly? Of course they would have put a lot behind Mario Kart World. Just that with me, they severely dropped the ball. It ain't worth 80, it ain't worth 70, it isn't even worth 60 right now. $50 is where I say.
Still not really sure why DK Bonanza was $10 less when, in my opinion, that's a much more exciting Switch 2 game, a much more forward-thinking Switch 2 game, but okay. Regardless, raising the price of these games.
Switch Force, me and you are going to have a serious problem if you still continue to give Nintendo ideas. Why are you sitting here trying to sit here and advocate for Donkey Kong Bonanza to go up to $80? Why that game should have been keep it up, Switch Force, keep it up. If you continue to do that, I will continue to make more content out of you. Don't push me.
Is going to be the biggest way to get them negative press and piss off the people that bought a Switch 2. If you don't raise the price of Switch 2 games, if you're already in, you feel okay. Like, yeah, prices might go up for the Joy-Con. You already got Joy-Con. Prices might go up for the Switch 2 console. You already got a Switch 2.
Those Joy-Cons are pieces of shit. Of course you're going to need more of those Joy-Cons. And no, the games shouldn't go up in price. There's no reason to, especially if you get it digital. Now, hey, I understand the whole thing about people wanting physical, but when it comes down to it, I will sit here. If I can get a $20, $30 cheaper, I'll get a digital. I am not against digital. I am not against physical. I believe both can coexist. But what I will not do is I will not sit here, pay full price for a game that's a game key card. That is the one thing I will not do.
I think that they're going to keep the games where they are because that's what they've received the most pushback on, and that's where they're the most competitive with other platforms. Can't have Nintendo raising the price of their games above the price point of the same title on a different platform.
Switchforce, I am sorry to tell you, I love Nintendo games. I actually do. I love DK Bonanza. But just graphically looking at it after you play it with all the performance issues that it came with, that game definitely was not worth $70. So I would not say that they're being competitive with Sony and Microsoft. Sorry to tell you this.
But they've got some wiggle room with the Switch 2 to bump that thing up price-wise if they need to. It's sold insane, over 6 million units. People are desperate to buy it. It's still selling out.
Well, of course it's selling out. You do realize it's still new. The thing has barely been out for 2 months. You know, the PS5, well, that was with the chip shortage, but I'm pretty certain that almost every single new one that has come out that's still around now, like the Xbox, the PlayStation, the Nintendo ones, they probably all sold out for a while, and it was hard to find them for at least 6 months afterwards.
Adding a $20 charge or a $10 charge or a $15 charge to that, while bad, is not as bad as them increasing the game prices. And
yes, it is. Especially when Japan's is even cheaper, for crying out loud. Now, I do not expect, even though they expect us to fund Japan's gaming welfare, I do not expect Japan to have to pay for our tariffs like the consumers over there. But I think that Nintendo themselves, they can eat some of that damn cost. It is ridiculous. They are making record-breaking profits. And so what? If like I've said before, if they eat the cost, what are they going to go from record profits just to regular profits? This is ridiculous. And I know that he blamed the administration in the beginning for all the tariffs, but Switchforce, you're just as much at fault for them because you voted with your wallet and you showed Nintendo it was okay.
if they don't increase the game prices, it's not a slap in the face to everybody that bought a Switch 2. They can really balance out the feels by keeping our Switch 2 games the same price.
Honestly, I think they need to go down in price, Switchforce. There's no reason to even be having them at $70. But the rest of the industry, who cares what the rest of the industry is? Let Nintendo be better for once.
Now, after the Switch 2 console itself, I think what they might target is Nintendo Switch Online. The good news here is, if you're already a Switch Online member, your price would not increase until it renews.
So pretty much, he's pretty much trying to tell you right now, oh, you better go buy it before renew it, before it goes up in price again. There's absolutely no reason to raise the price. The NSO has nothing to do with the tariffs. This is how we know that Nintendo is full of shit when you guys try to blame it all on the tariffs. Because if that was the case, like I said, the NSO is not affected by it. And it's not like they're making a lot of money. The vast majority of Switch 1 people do not have NSO. You do realize that. So just them raising it by a little bit, it's not like they're dramatically making more money compared to raising the price of games or raising the price of the console.
I don't think this is going to be doom and gloom for current Switch 2 owners. I think Nintendo's actually going to prioritize you. And look, if they prove me wrong and do the opposite, I will take them to task. I will not say it's okay. I will not say it's not a big deal.
Bitch, please, you ain't gonna take no one to task. When have you ever taken Nintendo to task? You literally gave that system a 9.8 out of 10 at launch, even though they had an $80 game that should have never been there. They had an overpriced tech demo that should have been packed in and included. Do you actually believe that any of us actually think you will take Nintendo to task? You're so full of it. Well, I'm done. Nope. I can't with this one. There's only a little bit left, but I'll link this video. You go watch it on your own. So let's get into the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Madfox 94, Shade Milkman, Oh No It's Justin, Brian Payne, Andy Ritz, J Wisby 65, C Stars Piplup, Cam, Astrius Lane, Maximus 2400. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew. And if you truly enjoy this content, why don't you think about becoming a member? It's only $1 a month. You get special emotes, badges, and you get a shout out at the end of each video until it becomes too long, and then it'll be turned into a credit roll. And also, I got an awesome merch lined up for you guys. I got amazing shirts, hoodies, I got coffee mugs, I got desk mats, I got a bunch of different kinds, so why don't you check it out also. And please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, stay vigilant.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're hard